The husband came home from work, went into the kitchen, and sat down at the table. My wife put a frying pan with fried potatoes on the table, next to lard and pickles. For 2 months of living with a young wife, he has already got used to having lunch always waiting for him on the table. The advance was transferred to a 10,000 card, he said, eating potatoes. I am also 5, my wife smiled. We will celebrate the new year. You will buy everything for the new year, and my parents will get some gifts, small but original. And my parents. And we will have a payday only after the New Year holidays. We have to live somehow. Vadim, I didn't understand why yours need to buy gifts, but mine don't. Because they bought us an apartment, and yours is just a closet, and this refrigerator is the cheapest. Vadim, what does this have to do with it? We're a family, and we should have everything equally. However, I get 30,000 a month, and you get 15. Where is your equality? But, so listen to what the husband says. Tears appeared in Anya's eyes. She jumped up from the table and ran into the room. She sat down on the bed and began to cry softly. 2 months have passed since the wedding. At first everything went well, but every day she felt more and more that the main husband in the family, and she was like a servant. But why did he become like this? Yes, his parents bought an apartment, his relatives gave more gifts for the wedding. But what does all this have to do with it? We love each other. Or maybe they loved. And love has already passed, and now everything will be measured in square meters and rubles. Okay, and my husband sat down next to me. Buy something for your own, only inexpensive. Vadim, why did you become like this? Anya buried her face in her husband's shoulder, continuing to cry. Such a life, the husband said edifyingly. You plow for these 30,000. Vadim, well, you and I are young. We still have everything ahead of us. Listen, go to your father in the foundry. They earn a lot more there. And have you ever been to this foundry? My father works as a boss, and then complains about the lungs, suffocates constantly. And I have a secondary special education. Who will take me? At best, a shaper. Do you want me to die in a couple of years? I want to live normally. Anya looked at her husband with hope. I want, and do everything for this. If we give a gift to my parents, they will also give us something more expensive. Or they will give you money. There is no return from yours. We'll just waste the money. Vadim, but is everything measured in money? They're my parents. Every one. And let's go to bed, the spouse said irritably. You don't understand anything about family life. Anya fell in love with her future spouse precisely for her apparent independence. He kept saying that we would live separately from our parents, we would cope with all the difficulties ourselves. After the wedding, which took place in October, Anya never went to visit her parents to her native home, only talked on the phone. In my heart, I was afraid of my husband. Vadim's mother came to visit her several times, and she felt like a hostess in their apartment. Anya tried not to pay attention to it. She had heard a lot about the relationship to her mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. She saw her father-in-law only once at a wedding. He looked so serious there that Anya involuntarily felt shy in front of him. But suddenly the daughter-in-law's attitude towards him changed. That day, just before the new year, she returned from work. My husband called and said he would be late. He worked as a machine operator and often stayed at work at the end of the month. Anya cooked dinner and was waiting for her husband from work. And then the intercom rang. Who? She picked up the phone. And it's me, your father-in-law. Come in. He came in, still serious, but in a winter jacket and hat, He looked a little simpler. "Hello, Anya, you. Hello, Boris Grigoryevich. Come into the kitchen." He undressed and followed his daughter-in-law. Anya immediately poured hot soup, put it in front of him. "Help yourself." "Thank you, and you are a good hostess." "Very tasty." After the soup was finished, the daughter-in-law poured tea, and the father-in-law asked, "Does Vadim offend you?" "No," but she lowered her head at the same time. "He's like my mother in character. They're always dissatisfied with something." Then he smiled. "That's what I came for. Let's come to us for the new year. And invite your parents. It's been 2 months since the wedding, and we're all like strangers." "They won't come." "Okay, I'll call them myself." And then Vadim came into the hallway. His wife ran out to meet him, smiled happily. "We have a guest, your dad." "Dad, what are you thinking of coming in for?" the son asked with some apprehension. "Check how you live. And I also wanted to invite you to the new year, and I'll invite Anya's parents too." He got up from the table. "Well, I'm off. The day after tomorrow at 7 in the evening we are waiting." The new year was surprisingly fun. Boris Grigoryevich immediately found a common language with the matchmaker and with Vaka, instantly interrupted all attempts of his wife or son to speak arrogantly. At the time of the new year, everyone was cheerful and happy. They made a wish. We danced and laughed all New Year's Eve. During the whole holiday, Anya could not leave the thought that her father-in-law seemed to be saying goodbye to everyone, and wanted them all to remain one family. Besides, she noticed that he had some kind of breathing problem. The coming year immediately gave Anya a joyful event. She was hired in a new branch of the bank, in the credit department. They promised 30,000 a month and career growth. And since Anya has a higher education, and she passed the test perfectly when applying for a job, after a couple of months, she became a leading specialist, and the salary became higher than her husband's. He was still trying to pretend to be the head of the family, but he had fewer and fewer arguments for this. And in the spring, it seemed, the irreparable happened. Boris Grigoryevich was announced a terrible diagnosis and the need for surgery abroad, the cost of which is about 5 million rubles. His wife and son quickly realized the futility of trying to find such a sum. Even if they sell his car and both apartments, it still won't be enough. And then Anya went to the director of the bank. "Hello, Igor Kirillovich." "Hello, Anya. What happened?" "My father-in-law needs surgery abroad. I need a loan of 5 million. Zakharova, don't you think that this is too much money, even for an employee of our bank?" "But neither I nor my relatives have anywhere else to take this money." The director thought about it. A mysterious smile slipped on his face. "Then listen, Anya Zakharova. Our bank is young. There are not enough good specialists. Just urgently need the head of the credit department, and I do not know who to put." He smiled. "Can you handle it?" "Me?" The girl even forgot for a minute why she came to the director's office. "And what? You're a smart girl, a good specialist. In addition, you will receive an interest-free loan for 10 years. The director's look became serious. "But I have one condition." "Pretty tough for you." "Which one?" "We will conclude an oral agreement with you, which you will never tell anyone about. You won't go on maternity leave for 5 years. I just want the bosses in this department not to change. Do you agree? I'll give you 5 minutes to think. If you don't agree, we didn't have this conversation." "We were planning a baby this year." Anya thought. "I agree," she said aloud. "Now, I will write an order, and after lunch I will announce it to the employees of your department." The director smiled. "Yes, Anya, the most important thing. I'm taking a big risk putting you in this position. You must not let me down." "I won't let you down," the girl replied firmly. "That's good. What about the loan? So you're the head of the credit department, Ned?" "You do it yourself. I'll sign it." It has become a tradition for them to gather for the new year with a big family. Parents looked with pride at their own, so solid, despite the youth of their children. Toasts were made alternately, starting, of course, with Boris Gregorievich. He raised his glass. "5 years ago, we gathered here for the first time. Then I was sure that this would be my first and last New Year with you. But then I didn't know what a beautiful girl had become my son's wife. Anya, I want Santa Claus to hear our requests and send you a child." "Thank you, Boris Gregorievich." The girl wiped the tears from her eyes and smiled. "Santa Claus will definitely fulfill your wish, and you will have a grandson in the coming year."